So I don't know if you guys noticed, but from now on, you're the Dawn of War 2 fans. Unless you know it's not a Dawn of War 2 video. But anyway, Dawn of War 2 fans, today I'm bringing you a 1v1 on Seraph Palace. Shout out to Seraph Palace. Great map by Swift. Master of maps. And it's going to feature Adilla playing the Warp Spider Exarch versus Woof as the Demon Hunter, which is Piano. I'm going to be calling him Piano. I'm not going to be barking throughout the cast. Fear not. So, we're not seeing Banshees initially, we're seeing double Guardians, which I like, because Banshees, if they encounter the Strike Squad, it'll be a pretty awkward fight for them. Not to mention, if the Banshees encounter IST, they'll probably take a lot of damage from the bursty lasguns. So he's getting them later to counter-initiate any pushes from Strike Squads onto his Guardians, which is fair enough. Got a little bit of a duel going on the side between the Demon Hunter and the Warp Spider Exarch, but one other pertinent observation to make is that in fact there are no Strike Squad. Cheeky little rift tear there by the Demon Hunter to slow down the Banshees as he retreats out of there. Warp Spider Exarch, just going to go into melee with those IST. Warp Spider Exarch actually does pretty decent damage in melee. In fact, by default, I'm pretty sure the Warp Spider Exarch does more damage in melee than he does in ranged. A true hybrid hero. Triple gens coming up straight away from Piano. No gens yet from Adilla because instead he's rushing fast ranges. Very curious choice here from Piano to rush Purgation Squad. Very strange. Very strange. I do not like the Purgation against Eldar, because Rangers just shoot you from afar, they can control you with Kinetic Pulse. Purgation are useless if they use energy shields. Purgation get countered by shurikens. And then the Banshees can leap into melee if they get fleetness. And they have... not fleetness, sorry. What is it? Aspect of swiftness? What's the aspect? Aspect of strength? Aspect of... is it aspect of fleetness? Whatever. The power melee one that makes them leap. And then of course Fleet of Foot as well counters Purgation. So yeah, Purgation, very strange choice to be rushing from Piano. I'd kind of understand like rushing Interceptors and Operatives to then have fire support and anti-garrison and stuff, but rushing Purgation and just sending them straight to the power farm. But yeah, the Banshees are here to intercept. We don't see any Kinetic Pulse yet because the Rangers don't have their upgrade, but... yeah, so he used the ability, wait, oh, yeah, so he used the Rift Tear there by the Demon Hunter to get the snare, and he combined that with the basic snare from the ability of the Purgation. When you combine both of those snares, you actually get 100% snares, so it totally immobilized the Banshees there and forced them off. But you know, that's not going to work for so long. Already, we see that the Rangers have been upgraded with their Pathfinder gear, so now they have access to the Kinetic Pulse, which they can use to control that squad of Purgation. Now we're likely going to see the Interceptors coming out next for Piano, since of course there has been a Shuriken to try and pin back that Purgation, and really the Shuriken pins back everything that Piano has right now. But yeah, there's going to be Interceptors to deal with that Shuriken. 2 gens are up for Adilla. Still only the 3 gens for Piano. Piano has, by far, the worst map control at the moment. I mean, we've got 2 points on the far side owned by Piano. About 7 owned by Adilla at the moment. Yeah, Purgation don't regen very fast. I guess Piano doing a bit of experimentation here. Very optimistic positioning here from the Shuriken. Just gets hit by a frag grenade from the IST Sarge. Now the Interceptors are coming in. This is of course the first time Adilla has seen the Interceptors. He is quick in his reaction, gets his Shurikens out of there. A little bit of damage taken on the Guardians there. They do drop a couple of models from the enfiladed fire from the IST. They're going to back out of there without any squads having been wiped. Now this is Piano's opportunity to try and cap the map. It's actually using the Blessed Icon on the Demon Hunter. Basically gives you AoE fleet of foot, so AoE speed buff for all nearby troops at the cost of reduced damage for 10 seconds. But he uses it to position himself quite well, take advantage of the one engagement, and now pushing up onto the gen farm once again. But Adilla's privy to this, Warp Spider Exarch teleports in, ties up those purgations. Gets knocked around a little bit by the interceptors, but nothing too impactful there. One purgation model died. I mean, it was a failed attempt at bashing from Piano's end, but it's not a huge deal. He has spent the time trying to cap the map. A little bit awkward though. I mean, this is his natural requisition point, and at this point it has fully matured in favour of Adilla. Not ideal. Demon Hunter's doing his bit, capping this part of the map, getting the VPs back in control of Piano, which is quite important. He's only at 319 VPs at the moment, to the 440 of Adilla, but they are trickling down relatively quickly at this point. We see a pretty huge lead in tech so far for Piano, still quite a ways off for Adilla. He needs another 15 or so power to even start his tech, and we're looking at about 40% tech completion for Piano. Good little special attack there from the Demon Hunter is going to deter things. I don't know why Adilla is capping with his Banshees on the other side of the map when there are interceptors in the field. This is a pretty bad idea. It just left him so vulnerable to this push. There's basically no counterplay. As soon as the interceptors jumped in there and set up the Shuriken, all of the ranged troops of Piano just pushed forward. And now he's in an awful situation because he's been gen bashed. Very strange. Not entirely sure why the interceptors jumped out there. That was a bit strange. It could have been used to deal with the Warp Spiders. Maybe that was a misclick. Maybe he thought the Rangers were at the bottom. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was a flop. That was a flop. Nonetheless, we're going to see a Rhino coming out for Piano, and he's going to get that in really good time, to be honest. By the time this Rhino gets in the field, I don't even think Adilla is going to be in tier 2. So again, that should present a decent opportunity for him to get a Gen Bash. Piano using the global there on his interceptors so that they have a little bit more energy to get a teleport. They're very low on HP. This is a risky fight for both sides. I mean, it's going to come down to special attacks. And Piano, quite lucky actually, he does proc a special attack early on with his... Ooh, 2 HP on the DH. When was that? Alright, well the Rhino's in the field, but to be honest, Adilla is already tier 2 now, and he has some Fire Dragons on the way, probably predicting a vehicle. One of our structures is being attacked. They're not out on the field yet though, and the Purgation and the Rhino are already here getting the Gen Bash started. Banshees are fleeting out, Warp Spider's going to tie up the Purgation. Okay, bit of trading there. Interceptors and the Banshees force each other off. Purgation actually survive. Managed to finish off the Gen Bash, and a nice Rift Tear coming in there to secure the exit of the Razorback from those flanking Fire Dragons. No other war gear yet for the Demon Hunter, no war gear on the Warp Spider Exarch. We're probably not going to be seeing any war gear on the Warp Spider Exarch for a while now because Adilla somehow has found himself in a position where he has no generators. We are losing a requisition point to the enemy. Attempting to get a bit of a counter bash off with double Guardians seems somewhat effective. I mean, he got 2 gens, so it's better than nothing. But I feel like the mobility of this Rhino is going to present some problems. But it is going to require Piano microing correctly here and not actually having it reverse. Alright. Interceptors forced off there. They didn't want to commit to that engagement. Rather, you know, Piano wanted to consolidate his forces. I don't know about these Purgation. I really don't think they've been that effective. I think Piano just wanted to try out the idea of using them with Rift Tear to get the 100% snare. It definitely works, but thing is, it's not just the Banshees that are the threat, there's other threats than that. Yeah, and we're going to see some side cannons coming out for the Purgation now. I think that's a good choice. The value of their flamers now is not really, it's not very good. You know, the Banshees get their range resist when they fleet in with the Exarch, and there's just too many threats. It's better to keep them in the back lines and just chip away at the Eldar forces. I'd like to see the entangling web on the spider. Just an amazing generic upgrade. I mean, it not only gives bonus damage for his range attacks, but also it helps you control those interceptors. I mean, as soon as they teleport in, you hit them with the entangling web so they can't move, and then you just throw a grenade on them. Then you follow up with Banshees as soon as they try and retreat. It becomes a tough time for the interceptors. Demon Hunter is going to get forced off on this side by the double Guardians. Hollow field down here, so the Fire Dragons and the Rangers are trying to set up a little bit of an ambush. Piano expecting gates, but there's no gates actually. There's no gates, Piano, it's not gates, it's just Eldar mobility, I suppose. Honestly kind of surprised that the Eldar doesn't have more red. Wow, just look at the VPs though. Piano is so far behind on VPs, I did not realise. Only 133, yet the Eldar have over 400 still. That is a huge VP lead for Adilla. Silencer's putting in some work here. Needs to be rotated around to deal with the Shuriken. Yeah, you see the range of the Silencers is great, a lot more than the Shuriken. So the problem is he won't have the sight, but he uses Psychic Assailment now to get some extra range and damage. Unfortunately, there is an Autarch Bomb and a Kinetic Pulse, and that is the end of our fated Psycannon Purgation. Greynight Librarian is coming out now, very strange choice. I don't really know what the point of that is, but alright. I mean, I guess it protects the interceptors. Ooh, another Sanctity, or Sanctify, I can't remember what the global's called. The one that gives the energy to the interceptors. And they do lose they lose one model to the Banshees, but it's well worth it. Teleport in further and finish off that Shuriken. Now this force is in a way better position. This is one of the things that the Ordo Malleus Librarian can do, using that Sanctuary global, creating an AoE bubble that will knock over even Terminators, even the Chaos Lord. Does ability knockback to any troops on the enemy side that enter it. So very good protection against the Banshees, I suppose. That's probably why he got it. A nice little flank there from the Guardians, getting some good bleed onto the IST, but Interceptors teleport onto them and they need to get out of there. They don't want any of that. Now seeing both upgrades on the IST, so they've got their Sergeant and they've got their Acolyte as well. Acolyte is very important for the IST because he gives them damage resistance, which helps them scale without bleeding quite as much. But you see, the problem with damage resistance is these boys have got huge amounts of HP loss without actually losing models. It'll take ages to heal in base. Now, one of the things that you can do to counter that, I was going to say, is to get one of the armors on the Demon Hunter. But we see the Armor of Fortitude instead, which is a tanky melee. Piano, too busy typing away, ends up losing his Rhino there to a hollow-fielded Fire Dragon ambush. Use Crack Shot as well, boosting the damage and the range of the FDs. So this is a tricky position now for Piano. I'm kind of surprised that he went for the Armor of Fortitude. I guess he is using the Demon Hunter solo, so the tanky melee armor is definitely better if you're playing solo. But if you're using him in the main combat, the Light of the Emperor would have been nice. You drop that ability, and it gives you AoE HP regen increases, and AoE damage resistance, which you then use to heal up your Interceptors, your Acolyte IST, so they're not healing in base all game. But I guess he's supporting the blob with the Terminator Librarian instead. Oh, he spawned in Crusaders. Interesting. I think he thought the Acolyte on the Crusaders was tier 2. But it is not. It's tier 3. So the Crusaders, yeah, they're not great in tier 2. Because you can get them in tier 1 in theory. They don't get any upgrades. Actually, I think their Battle Frenzy becomes active in tier 2, might not be in tier 1, I don't know. I haven't played the game in too long, and they changed the Crusaders since I last played. But generally, I think the Crusaders are a pretty decent choice against Eldar. They don't take the extra damage from the power melee of the Banshee attacks that your Strike Squad and your Interceptors do, because they're only light infantry. And they're reasonably fast, high damage melee unit, so they're pretty effective at just ripping through Guardians. We do actually see the Entangling Web. What's happening down here? Banshees are forcing off Interceptors, fair enough. But yeah, the Crusaders get into melee, and then the Guardians get routed. But Piano hasn't actually realised there is actually a Webway Gate now in the field. That's going to do a lot to keep Piano in this game. Because it's just VPs really that it comes down to. Nice Rift Tear. Using the Rift Tear and the Word of the Emperor to create some room there for his forces away from the Banshees. Fire Dragons tied up by the Demon Hunter are not going to be particularly effective. Piano did... surely he noticed the ranges there.
Our Webway Gate is under enemy attack.
Now the Crusaders have found the Webway Gate. So the Banshees could come through it and try and deal with them, but no, they don't. Strange. Purifiers now, Piano? Wow. I mean, I don't know. Interesting. He's going full melee. I feel like he needs more things to support his melee on his Demon Hunter. He needs to get the Force Glaive for that Inferno ability. AoE damage and knockback around the Demon Hunter when he uses the Inferno ability on the Force Glaive. It's a pretty good weapon as well. It's like 70 DPS power melee. You should definitely get that and stick around the main fights. And then just send the Purifiers 1v1. Because I'm pretty sure the Purifiers 1v1 will beat the Banshees. I think so. Okay, Crusaders need to get out of there. They're taking way too much damage. Nice grenade split there on the IST. I think it was a little bit late with the invulnerability ability on the IST. Ooh, but a nice flank from the Purifiers into the Guardians. They're going to start doing some work, especially with the Ordo Malleus Terminator Librarian there as well. The Eldar just don't have enough melee, really. They're getting overwhelmed by the spam of melee coming out of the OM at the moment. But that's going to change, presumably, once this Wraith Lord gets out. We'll see.
As it was foreseen.
Okay, Entangling Web going on Purifiers. Demon Hunter's getting knocked around. This is why the Inferno weapon would be great here. Because even when you get knocked over with your Demon Hunter, you can activate that and send all the Banshees flying. And right now, that would have set up a wipe easily. Ooh, but he's baited the Banshees out. And now they're getting chain knocked back by the Purifiers and the Interceptors. He baited them out, waited to get his Demon Hunter low so they were greedy for the kill. And then he used the Indomitable ability to phase himself into the warp to make him invulnerable for a short period. Very nice play there from Piano. Adilla now finds himself with one less melee squad, and you know what? That means 0 melee squads for Adilla right now. Only his Wraith Lord, which is going to get a Shuriken Cannon, which will definitely put a lot of pressure onto Piano. Piano right now doesn't have any AV. It's got a very, very strange composition, to be honest.
Enemy Space Marines are claiming a victory objective.
Okay, a lot of pressure coming out here from the Crusaders, forcing the Guardians back. I mean, this is quite bizarre. The what's this? This is some ability. Is this Might of the Titan from the Order Malleus? Librarian? No. What is this? Yeah, it must be. That's the purple buff aura. Can't even remember what that does. I think it increases melee skill. I don't know. It's some sort of melee buff. But obviously, up against a Wraith Lord, that's not really quite enough. I don't know what the Crusaders are doing here. There's a bit too much firepower. I think maybe Piano's just suiciding them. Yeah.
Psyker provokes me. We cannot finish this now.
Okay. I mean, he's hanging on, 65 VPs. He's actually got the 2-0 cap right now, which is really impressive. But I feel like Adilla should be able to have this with the Webway gates and now having the Wraith Lord and Piano only just getting the Purgation Squad out. I assume that the Purgation Squad is going to be getting the Conversion Beamer, which is basically like a las cannon. Yeah. Use that to try and take down the Wraith Lord. But on its own, that's going to be pretty tricky. Warp Spider Exarch can just go into melee, teleport into it, tie it up. Ooh, god, double Wraith Lords. Yeah, this is not good. This is going to be very hard for Piano to deal with. Just one Wraith Lord's going to be hard enough to kill with a Beamer. He is using Shrouding from the Librarian, which does give an energy buff. Not an energy buff. A damage buff, in addition to the Infiltration. So that helps the Purgation a little bit, but wow, yeah, just look at that, man. Crazy. The damage is just not enough. Wow, a bit of friendly fire there from the Guardians. One of the Guardians getting focused down. Might actually be wiped out by the Purifiers. Is wiped out by the Purifiers there. Very impressive. The Wraith Lords has now got rid of the Purifiers, who were the only real anti-vehicle threat. Interceptors on this squad, on this side, are just cleaning everything up. Rangers and Spider coming out here to try and stop the decap. I mean, Adilla knows that VP is a priority right now. That Wraith Lord needs some repairs. Losing the Guardian is really bad. One of them was needed for repairs, and another one would have been nice to send off capping. It's hard for Adilla because even though he's got the Wraith Lords, which can win the main fights, Piano just doesn't need to take main fights. So long as he can maintain VP control, the actual fights don't really matter. Adilla is getting pretty low right now. 135 VPs left for Adilla. Ooh, nice shot from the Beamer there. Buffed up by Psychic Assailment. Global ability from the Demon Hunter, giving it even more range than normal. Beamer's quite unique in that it actually does more damage the further away the target is from it. Still, not enough to take down these big beefy Wraith Lords. Woof. Warp Spider Exarch just teleporting out before the Interceptors got into range. Here we go again. Sanctify. I'll have to check what that fucking global's called, but the Energy Global used to teleport Interceptors forward, get a nice wipe on the Warp Spider Exarch. Piano's been using that very well. I'd like to see it. Is it Purify or Sanctify? I don't know. One's the Global and one's the Strike Squad ability. That's why I get them confused, because they both do the same thing, give energy to a target squad. Alright, here we go, second Purgation. So this one, again, probably just going to be a second Beamer. Keep them split up, double DPS, yeah, could be effective. But there is an Autarch coming in, so that can be used to try and deal with the setup teams. However, you do have to be careful with your Autarch if you're going to be jumping her into Purifiers and Terminator Librarians. And we'll kick her ass in melee. I'm starting to doubt Adilla's abilities here. Wait, did he not see the gate? I don't think Piano's seen this. How did he not see that? I mean, Piano's hanging on right now to the 2-to-1 cap. You see, this is the problem of having no Banshees. He can't just drop the Banshees out of this gate to get the cap. That's the problem. then the Demon Hunter has just been a bit of a nuisance, really. Moving forward, tying up the Fire Dragons, backing off with his invulnerability. Desperate attempts from the Warp Spider Exarch here, and yeah, Adilla's pulled back. I mean, he has to do a big push here with his double Wraithlaws, but he's kind of fucked up, because he should have used his Autarch for that, rather than depositing the Autarch out by the far side, where they just got dispatched by the, wow, okay, well he has actually pushed through. Dispatched by the Interceptors. Well, a nice little grenade there forces off that Interceptor, and I guess things got close enough that... I'm calling them Interceptors, they're Purgation. Look, both of the Purgation are gone. The Acolyte kicks the shit out of that Guardian in melee. Looks like the Librarian might be going down though. One more hit from the Wraithlord if he can do it. Not quite killing the Librarian, getting out with 50 HP. This Wraithlord's still hanging around. Problem is, Wraithlords don't cap. Dylan needs to get his Spider onto the point as soon as possible. He's trying it. Man, the Purifiers are so tanky. Like, the Wraithlord's been chasing them for ages, even with their Shuriken Cannon. Not really achieving a whole lot. And then the Purgation comes out again with its Conversion Beamer. So the Autarch is no longer capping. Oh my god, Adilla just capped the point, for Christ's sake. He's trying to wipe and deal with all these Purgation, but he's got no capping power. The Demon Hunter is gonna scream for the Emperor and gets a sync kill onto the Warp Spider, who is bleeding out on the central VP. The Wraithlords are still roaming around, but they're not able to cap the VPs, and it's still a 2-to-1 cap in favour of Piano. However, there are some sneaky Guardians running down here going for the decap, but it's 6 seconds, they haven't started the decap, so Adilla has lost. It takes 7 seconds to decap a point. Wait, they did start the decap. The Warp Spider's in the centre started the decap. I am prematurely calling the game. My bad. Alright, let's see what happens. Wraithlords are still causing chaos. What's this? This is going to be a Las Cannon Rhino coming out onto the field. Wow, there is a Wraithlord in Piano's base. There is also a Wraithlord in the middle causing havoc. So the Wraithlord in the base gets took out. Warp Spider's got called down from the global bar of the Warp Spider. They're going to dispatch some of these forces here, but Interceptors came out and they killed the Guardians on this side of the map. Now the Las Cannon Rhinos putting on a bit of pressure onto the Wraithlord, and the very tanky Purifiers are going to get onto that VP in the mid. Can anything capture this VP? It looks like that's a no. If Piano micros his Demon Hunter, he doesn't micro his Demon Hunter to try and take out the Ranger that was capping there. God, this is chaos. So Interceptors are probably gonna die. Okay, they jumped the Warp Spiders. Oh no, it's all good because now the IST are here. The IST can get on the cap while the Interceptors force off the Spiders, and Rangers cap that point, but the Purifiers capture the midpoint, so it came down to this end. And oh my god, Piano is taking his fucking time. Well, Adilla has basically lost all of his forces at this point. The Warp Spiders are going back to the base, but it is too late. The IST will capture that VP, and then Adilla will run out of VPs. What a game! Wow. Very eccentric build from Piano. Do you like seeing some Demon Hunter? You know, I thought when Adilla pulled out those Wraithlords and there was so little AV on the field for Piano, I thought it was done. I did. But apparently not, just forcing off all the Audomalius tanky Grey Knight units when you've got no melee units is very challenging. No Dark Reapers, no Banshees, basically nothing to counter the heavy infantry. He just lost it on VPs. Yikes. Well, there you go folks, that was a game from your boy STD. And that is all I've got for you today. Please leave a comment to help us in that war against the algorithm, leave a like if you haven't already, and subscribe if you want more of this content. Top it out.